Welcome to Creepy and Geeky. I'm your host, Robert, and on today's episode, I'm talking to RJ Joseph about Sinners. RJ is an author whose next horror collection, My Monsters Ain't Like Yours, is releasing this summer with Quill and Crow Publishing. Welcome to the show, RJ.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, yeah, it's great to have you on. Um, so yes, we are talking about Sinners. And This movie came out just last year. Ryan Coogler wrote and directed this fantastic movie. It was my number one film of the year last year, as it was for many horror fans. It was definitely number one. And fingers crossed it'll win lots of Academy Awards if people can be actually smart about things for once at the Academy Awards. So we'll see. But yeah. So I like I said, I really enjoyed this movie. What is your kind of overall feeling about the movie?
Well, overall, I really ditto what you're saying. It was my absolute favorite movie from last year. I am writing about it all the time, always talking about it, and I'm actually just excited to see it get all this attention. I mean, there were people like us that really liked it upon seeing it. There's other people that it had to kind of grow on. And I mean,
Yeah,
I guess we'll let them come along also. But, I'm just glad that they finally made it to where we are.
right. Absolutely. No, and I think and I don't necessarily think that it's a bad thing that it's growing on people, because honestly, when I
Mhm.
first saw the first trailer on it, I was kind of iffy on it. I was like, okay, Ryan Coogler, I like the only movies I'd seen of his so far up to that point were the Black Panther movies, which I enjoyed immensely. And
Mhm.
So I was interested, but I wasn't like, I wouldn't say I was excited for it because I just didn't know what, like, it was like the trailers told you just enough but also like not enough, and I was just like,
Uh-huh.
okay, what is
Uh-huh.
this movie going to be about? And I knew it was going to be about vampires, which I was like, okay, this could go really good or could go really bad. And so I still went opening day, as I do, for any movie that I'm interested in. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go check it out. And I just like, yeah, it floored me. It was just it it's it's a vampire movie, but it's not at the same time. It's like two different
Uh-huh.
movies. It's kind of, interestingly enough, and I want to get into this in a little bit. From Dusk Till Dawn is one of his major influences for this movie, and I can
Mhm.
feel that in this, where there's one movie that's happening, and then it transitions into a whole different movie. And then so I love that aspect of it, that you're getting these two kinds of different movies mashed up together, and it shouldn't work, but it does. So,
Mhm. Mhm.
and I love that about the movie.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was in from the first trailer, like even not knowing that it was about vampires. Because I thought that I want to say that the first trailer I saw still hinted at it was already historical, right? And,
Yeah,
and so one of the things I think it was Tananarive Due that said, black horror, black history is black horror. And so for me, even if they just ended at that first layer, that still was horror for me. So I'm like,
yeah,
yeah, I'd like
yeah,
to see what Kugler does with this. I mean, so to find that story within the story was even more exciting, though,
yeah,
because I'm with you. I'm like, hold on, vampires, you could have led with that, but okay. I mean, I'm still in, but thank you.
yeah,
So yeah, I think that's one of its biggest appeals is that story within the story, that kind of circular kind of thing.
yeah. No, absolutely. Um, I Last year, when I had talked to my friend Donna, Donna the Dead is what she went by. Um, she
Mm-hmm.
um she her and I talked about this movie a lot, and unfortunately we were going to talk about it together for the podcast, but unfortunately she passed just a couple of weeks ago.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm so
uh,
sorry.
Thank you. um but so like this kind of movie means a lot to me in that way too, because it was a movie that we were going to talk about, we were going to, do all this stuff about. And then but like she was the same way. She was very much, she was super hyped. She was a black woman, and so she was really excited for the movie. And I know that it, obviously meant a lot more for her than it would for me.
Mhm.
But so I love getting that perspective from you as well. Just that, as black, the black horror is just horror. So, it's just, you know, and it's something I want to get into as well too, because we talk about, it's something that Donna and I had definitely talked about in the past too, is just that there's so many movies where there is this, like especially black um movies that have this um underlying tone of just I can't think of the word for it right now, but it's like the I wish I knew what I was talking about at the moment. Um
Mhm.
but it's that sense of just like all the like there, you don't want to always have this theme through all of black movies of this, like this.
Mhm.
Yeah, I can't think of the word or phrase that of it is right now, but it just like that feeling of just always feeling like black movies are always about that, and always about that pain that you guys have always been through and everything, and that you can have other movies, horror movies and everything like that. And I felt like this did a good job at not doing that. That
Oh, absolutely.
it really referenced black community and black life and
Mhm.
everything like that, without really delving into that it's not guilt, but it's like that weird feeling that like some movies do, that just constantly like make you feel bad like about being black, or about
Sure.
everything else that
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like black trauma, I think is what it is.
Yes, the
Just that,
black
like,
trauma. Uh-huh.
yeah. And so I my brain is frazzled trying to think of it. But yeah, so I like that it had that aspect to it, but didn't feel like it was necessarily addressing it in that way. Did you feel like that as
Mhm.
well?
Yeah, I did. And I think that that's really one of the things that made it work well, was that
Yeah,
you kind of can't tell a Black American stories without having that Black trauma somewhere kind of
right.
overarching or looming in the background. But what I really loved with that was that that was not the focus of this
Yeah,
story. That literally was not the focus. The focus was more freedom, which I think that people can most people can relate to anyway. Just the
yeah,
idea that you want to be free, you want to live in your community freely, you want to make money, you want to have fun, and so I it did a really good job of not parading the trauma across the screen so much as just acknowledging that, hey, yes, this is a thing, it's a thing, it's here, there's not anything we can do about it. It already happened and it's important, but let's take a look at it through this lens. And so, yeah, that was really, really exciting. I really like that because, yeah, no, there are some movies that I just don't watch that I find much more horrific
yeah,
than anything else. And after one way through, I'm like, yeah, I don't ever need to see that again. And this is definitely
yeah.
not one of those. I've already seen it multiple times.
I'll admit, this was I just watched it again last night. It was the second time I'd watched it, after watching
Hmm.
it the first time in the theater. And not because I don't love it, because I do. It's just, for me, it's, I think part of it's, one, I have to watch a lot for the podcast and everything. And so I try to
Oh, yeah.
continue to watch new things, or if I have to rewatch something,
Hmm.
then I rewatch it just for the podcast. Um, but it is definitely a rewatchable movie. It is,
Hmm.
so much of the movie um is just fantastic. I mean, you get the opening bunch of them trying to set up the juke joint, um and just getting to know the characters, getting to know Smoke and Stack, and you're getting to know Sammy and everybody else that they're kind of gathering along the way. And I kind of love that. Like, just as we go along, you're getting to know, obviously the Smokestack twins are the main characters, but so is Sammy and the Smokestack twins are like the three
Mm-hmm.
mains. And then everybody around their orbit, and just getting to see, like, one, getting the history of all of them and who, all of that that's going on. Meeting Annie and meeting Mary, and and Slim, and everybody just kind of coming together, all of them having this shared past together, and
Mm-hmm.
not being like overwhelmed by it either. Like, there's this, you kind of want to know more, but you also don't, because you're just kind of swept up into just
Mm-hmm.
what's happening. And I really enjoyed that aspect of it. It made the movie flow really well, especially in the beginning, because you're getting to know the characters. And you're not getting bogged down in a lot of stuff either, but you're getting to know the histories by little bits and pieces here and there. Um, and I don't know, I found that
Yes.
really fantastic.
Yeah, it
Um,
was it I think that it was definitely very comforting in a way. I mean,
mhm,
because that's what community is, right? Like
yes,
community is people living together, people growing together, people, working and having children. I think it was really important, like the little bits and pieces of imagery that they showed, like Cornbread's pregnant wife, like
yes,
life kind of goes on. Like it was kind of very symbolic of that. This is what a community does when they want to unwind. And like, of course, the community pulls together to get this juke joint going because that's what communities do, right? This is
yeah,
what this is a thing that that's a kind of that's a human experience, right? That
yeah,
community pulls together to have fun.
yeah. Well, I thought that also led into something that was interesting later on in the story as well, because these twins, they want to create this juke joint. They want to create a place of community, um, for the black community there in that area, something that's their own, something
Hmm.
that they can enjoy, that they can have a time to unwind, and celebrate their music, and just everything that they've got going on. And um it leads to this point where in farther into the story, where they're at the juke joint, somebody's trying to pay for a drink, but all he's got is these wooden nickels for the store and everything like that.
Uh-huh.
And
Uh-huh.
Annie and one of the twins is okay with it, but one of the other twins, I get them mixed up all the time. It's so
Yeah,
hard.
yeah.
But one of the twins is like, "Hey, we should only be taking real cash and everything." And they're like, "No, look, we've got to be there. They only get paid in this. And if you're going to turn
Right.
people away for this, and you're going to turn them away from this moment to have this and everything like that, you're going about it the wrong way. You know, the the more you build this community up, the stronger it's going to be." And I really love that take on it. Uh, just
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
based on that, like, at least, you know and I think he eventually goes along with it. He understands that, yeah, we're not going to be making as much real money, but this is going to make the community stronger. And I really enjoyed that aspect of what it meant
Yeah.
to be the community part of that. So um
Oh yeah, yeah, and that is really important, because I think that within any community there are there's these discussions of who actually belongs or who
yeah,
actually has a right to be here, and I think that one of the things that I think about understanding that the Black experience is not a monolith, but I do know
yeah,
that there are conversations within the Black community about who belongs here or is someone who is, let's say, not what some people think is a good representation of the community. Like, should they be here? So, should these people be allowed to come in with their wooden nickels or,
right.
let's say their trap music or, know,
Right,
their lower education, like should and so I think that you're right. That was really important because it's like no, we all belong here, and let
right,
everybody come play and hang out. That's what we're here to do.
right, right. And I think on that same token, though, you go into the reverse of that, that they were keeping out the white folk. The Rimmick and his couple of people, at first they just see them as
Hmm.
just white people just trying to horn in on their thing. Um,
Hmm.
and I think it's interesting though too, because like at first it's just like, hey, these people are white, let's not let them in. But then let's like find out a second. And then like after Remick talks, says his whole spiel and everything like that, they're like, maybe I can understand them coming in. Maybe they won't be so bad. They're just, they could be potentially good, good white people. And
Hmm. Hmm.
and in that day and age and that time and place and everything like that, it's a little iffy, it could go one way or the other for
Yeah.
sure. Um,
Yes.
and then, and then, but then they start getting that like that really weird vibe from them, and they're like, No, okay." So I do like the fact
Right.
that while at first they were reluctant, that they, upon talking to them a little bit more before they got the weird vibe, that they
Mhm.
they were like, okay, these people might not be too bad. So, and I like that aspect of
Mhm.
it, that yes, it was mostly for black people to be there and everything like that, but depending on the specific white person, they could come too. So it kind of feels
Yeah.
analogous to the modern day cookout.
Yes.
So,
Well, that's exactly what it was. I mean, that's
yeah,
exactly what it was. I'm Southern, like as if you couldn't tell from this drawl, right? But I mean, so being here in the South, it is a constant thing, right? You're always kind of trying to negotiate. Okay, why do these people want to come? I mean,
yeah,
whether they're white people or anybody that is outside, right? The community, you kind of thinking, why do you even want to come over here? Like, why do you
right,
are you coming to have fun with us, or are you coming to break up the fun? Are you coming to
yeah,
take over the fun? And there are times when you go, they just want to party just like us. You just want to hang out. You just want to eat at the cookout. Maybe you
yeah,
can come.
yeah.
There's always a few who are like, well, sure, maybe they can come. And then there's the other ones kind of saying, yeah, I still don't know.
Yeah. No, and I totally understand that. It's as a white person, I understand that, I'm not going to be like, even if people are okay with me, most people aren't going to be okay with me being at the cookout. And I totally understand that. It's okay. I get it.
Yeah, yeah.
And,
Yeah, I don't
and
I don't
that's
know. You might be able to come out to the cookout just because you know that. Like I think that's kind of one of the requirements is like just
yeah,
understanding that there's gonna be this reticence.
yeah,
Yeah, it's a running joke. It's a running joke. If you know that, it might be a little iffy then and
yeah,
understand that, then you might be
right.
the person that needs to come to the cookout. You might be.
Well, if I ever got invited, well, and that's the funny thing too, is that I've heard that on the other hand is the thing. If you're a white person, you get invited to a cookout, don't go. Because it's still you're still supposed to decline to go because you're supposed to still understand you're not
Right,
supposed to be
right.
there. So,
Right. That's it.
so
That's the
I
other
know.
part of the running joke.
So yeah, so I get it, I get it. But yeah, but I think that's what made the story interesting too. Is just that there is this that the undercurrent of the time period, the racism, and everything definitely plays a big part in the movie. It's always there. You have that scene where Smoke is there to go to the grocery store, and
Mhm.
he goes to the one grocery store, and then the daughter goes over to the other grocery store. I did not know this, and I just read about this today. Was that
Mhm.
the Chinese immigrants who had come down, especially into the Mississippi Delta area, they
Hmm.
would have two stores, one for black folk and one for
Hmm.
white folk. And they, because the Chinese were basically, they weren't white, but they weren't black either. And so
Right.
while they were still treated poorly, they weren't treated as poorly as black people. And so it was this weird thing where they would have two separate stores on either side of the street.
Hmm.
And I thought that was interesting because I'd never, it was something I wondered about when I originally watched the movie and didn't think to like look up. But when I was rewatching it this time, I looked up some stuff about it, and I was like, oh, okay, this makes
Hmm.
a lot more sense. So I like that they really, um, got down into that time period and really got into like the complexities of everything that was going on in terms of the race
Hmm.
relationships at the time in that area, because it's not
Yeah, well, and
just,
it's important.
yeah, and it's not just, putting it simply, it's not just black and white. There were so many multitudes of things that were going on, especially during that time period. So go ahead with
Right.
what you were
Well,
saying.
right. And also in Southern, yeah, well, also in Southern culture though. Like in Southern culture, this is, that's one of the things that I immediately picked up on. Like, not that I am of the generation that would remember that, right? But I
Yeah,
remember my grandmother talking about it. I remember my mother talking about it. And so, to see the two different stores, you go, oh, that's what they were talking about.
yeah,
And there's still, and there's still bits of areas that are still segregated and not so much in not very official ways,
yeah,
but in more unofficial ways. And so you kind of go, this is our Southern culture. This is the
yeah,
remnants of, this is what has been the result of this ongoing kind of a thing. And it just is what it is. I think that's one of the things I really loved about these little details is they were presented as this is just what this world was like. This is just what
yeah,
happened.
yeah. And I like that they didn't, like, there was nothing to like, they didn't focus on it in any way that, really, I think that's the testament to both the writing and the directing and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just what it was, and
Right.
there was no hype on which way or the other was, and that's upon the viewer to then go and um learn about on your own, if you're
Exactly.
curious about that. And so um I really appreciated that as somebody who does like to, look up information and stuff like that all the time. Like, it's the reason why I donate to Wikipedia every year, is because I use Wikipedia like every day, because I'm constantly looking up new information. So um but yeah, I think that um just basically, talking about, we've been basically talking about just the world and the time period and everything, and how it's all set up and everything. I think they did a really good job, especially for something that's a period piece, um, that is outside of any, historical, thing of my own self. It's always nice to see that kind of attention to detail.
Hmm.
And get that more lived in experience as well. So, um, but let's get into the characters and talking about them a lot more. Michael B. Jordan, fantastic as the twins. Um, I the way they had to film that, they were doing like new things with like technology, with like
Yeah.
a halo camera that like was a whole bunch of cameras set up around a rig that was around his face, and everything. And there's so many things that they had to do to film these twin sequences that was just insane to me. um
Yeah. Oh my gosh. He really felt like two different people.
yeah, yeah, no, and he did a very good job at very much like distinguishing the two different brothers
Yes.
and everything. And so that was, it made you really feel like it was two different actors performing.
Yeah, it really felt that way. I mean, like they did embody he embodied two different people.
Yeah,
And then he was very consistent with those characters. Like, because in the beginning it seemed like, oh, I'm never gonna be able to tell them apart.
yeah,
But then once you see each quirk and what characteristics he gave to each one, you kind of go, oh yeah, well that's Stack. Oh yeah, that's Smoke.
yeah,
even though they look exactly alike, though they're cousins, right? Like he says, though
Yeah.
we're cousins.
No, it's great. Yeah. But yeah, he just does such a fantastic job in this. And then what is his name? Miles Caton. He is phenomenal as Sammy. This is his first movie. He'd never been
Yeah.
in a movie before.
Oh, I
Um,
mean, I he has got a bright future
right?
in music and in
Oh man.
film. So yeah, I'm excited for him for that. I'm so happy that Coogler gave us that gift.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. No, I think that, you know, either way he goes, if he wants to pursue acting, if he wants to pursue music, I think he's going to succeed either way. If he
Hmm.
wants to do both, you know,
Yep.
he's going to do
Yep.
well. Um, this person, this Wunmi Masaku, I love her. I have loved her since
Yes.
Lovecraft Country.
Yes. Yes.
And yeah, my friend Donna and I, we always would sing her praises all the time whenever we'd see her in something. But
Hmm.
she's so fantastic. I'm so glad she's getting she got an Academy Award nomination
Yeah. Oh
for her
yeah.
performance of this, because it is just, oh man, it is so good. She's so, it's just, it's powerful. It's just, and it's, but it's quiet too.
Yes.
It's not like big acting. It's just she does such a good job at being just there, but being powerful in the moment as well.
Right. Oh yeah, I loved her in Lovecraft Country, and then
Yes.
and also in His House. I mean,
I
so
haven't seen
she's
that yet.
making,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, you have to see that. She
Okay.
is making like a really good name for herself, and these are exactly the kind of characters that she plays. I was
Yeah.
really excited to see her in Sinners because she got to be even
Yes.
more sultry than she was in Lovecraft
Yes.
Country, and
Yeah.
that's really important to see, a bigger frame, full
Yeah.
figured, dark skinned woman who is so beautiful, but get to lean into her sensuality, right? So I was like,
Absolutely.
oh my gosh, this is wonderful. Like, of course, you're the person who should play this role.
I always
She
tell
killed it.
people, like, yeah, I always tell people, I've been singing the praises of Lovecraft Country for a while. I came to it late though. Like, I unfortunately I watched it at like a year or two after it had come out. Um,
Mm,
but I'd been wanting to for a while. And when I saw that, of course, you know, part of the appeal of that was at first Jonathan Majors, but
right, right,
which now it's a little bit harder to go back and watch. But if you
right,
do go
right.
back and watch it for Woon Mig, because she is so fantastic in that series.
Mhm.
Like, she was definitely the breakout. Um,
Yeah.
at
Oh,
least for
I
me.
agree.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Oh, she really was. She really
yeah,
showed what she could do.
yeah,
And so I'm so happy to see her continue to be cast.
yeah,
Because yeah,
absolutely.
she's fire. She's fire.
And she's great. She's great in the MCU also. She's been on Loki, and she was in Deadpool and Wolverine. So,
Oh
you know,
yeah. So I haven't
yeah.
seen those. Yeah, but okay.
Oh
Yes, yes,
yeah.
yes.
Oh
Oh, I'm
yeah.
excited for her. This is great.
Definitely check out the Loki series, because she's a major character in that. So
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
yeah. Haley Steinfeld, she's great. She's been great in everything I've seen her in before as well. You know, she's been acting since she was a kid.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's hard to make that transition, but she succeeded very well in making that
Uh-huh.
transition.
Oh
And
yeah,
she's
she
just,
did.
yeah, and she's fantastic in this movie too. There's a lot going on for a character that doesn't get a whole lot of screen time.
Hmm.
What screen time she gets is very meaningful, um, and powerful.
Yeah, yeah,
So
she's that character that is another part, of that Southern culture. Like I think that every family, well, okay, every family that I know, understand that's not everybody in the world, but like most
right,
families I know, we have that family member who we go remember cousins too, who was white passing, who
yeah,
passed as white in order to, try to move upward in society. Like, I mean, some Black people did do this. Sometimes it was for safety, like in Mary's case. Sometimes it was for stability and security.
Right.
And so their stories are intertwined. Like they're still Black people. They have a
Right.
whole different experience, and I was really really happy to see that a character like this, because it's like, what does this mean to be of this community, to be raised in this community, but to actually be shipped? Sounded like she was shipped off to married
Yeah.
off to the wealthier white guy, and she
Yeah.
didn't want that.
Yeah. Well, and that's what made the character really interesting as well, too, for
Hmm.
me, was that she was obviously light-skinned. I mean, her grandfather was like half black, is I
Uh-huh.
think how they explained it. So by the time she's there, she's more white than black. And but she still feels like she belongs to that community,
Hmm.
and they keep pushing her away. Or at least Stack is at the time.
Yeah.
He's trying to push her away, and that's just
Yeah.
because Stack doesn't want her to get hurt. And
Right.
you
He
can
does it
feel
for her
that. Yeah.
safety. Yeah, and you can feel that.
Yeah. And so I think that and she meanwhile is just like, no, this is who I am. This is my family. This is who I am a part of. And when Annie says that bit to her about her being family and everything like that, you can
Hmm.
see in that moment that hits so much harder for her than,
Yeah.
everything else that's been going on. And so I did enjoy that character, because it just, like you said, it brings in another layer to that time period, that community of that she could have easily have just been like, okay, I'm just going to be white and I'm just going to go do
Hmm.
my thing, and forget all this and not deal with all this. But because she loved Stack and she loved the people of the community, she was like, no, this is who I want to be with. These are the people I want to be with. Um and it definitely made the movie more interesting in that way as well.
Hmm.
Of course, we can't not talk about Delroy Lindo, who is like super like
Oh,
awesome. I love Delroy
yes.
Lindo. He's a great character actor. Been working for many many years. One of my favorite
Hmm.
roles of his is from the movie Get Shorty.
Uh-huh.
He's
Uh-huh.
so good in that. Um,
Yeah, he is good in everything.
in
Everything he
everything,
touches is
everything.
gold.
But yeah, no, he's real good in this. I'm glad to see he also got a nomination this year.
Yes.
So
Oh my
you know,
goodness. It was,
hopefully he wins for
it's
that.
yes. Oh, I hope so, right? I
Yeah,
hope so. He's been putting in the work for so long, for so
yeah,
many years. And in this particular role, I mean, and it's important to talk about what life was like for different generations in
yeah,
this time period. So Delta Slim is really important. Like he is though the elders, from the community who have seen and heard even more terrible things. And that kind of
yeah,
stuff is gonna leave a mark on you. And so for him to be an alcoholic and for him to, I mean, that one scene in the car was just, oh my gosh, every time I watch it, I tear up because I think that is horrific. And I remember the times that, we're sitting on the porch, with the elders and they just break out into these, hums and they're just
yeah,
humming and you kind of think, how does everyone know the song? Right. And then you kind of
yeah,
go, but Delta Slim knew the song. Like the elders, they know the song.
yeah,
This is and I think that it really brought home that idea too, that music is healing and also is connective, because that was him
yeah,
self-soothing himself. That was him soothing
yeah,
himself after recounting that terrible story. But that was so southern. That was like one of the most southern things that I saw in that movie. And I
right,
thought, this is home. Like this is home. This is what I
yeah,
recognize. And I'm glad that music was able to do that for him.
yeah,
Even if alcohol was kind of the secondary crutch to that.
yeah,
I'm like, if that's all you came out of that and all you have is a drinking problem, you did pretty good. You did pretty
yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And to see him still alive at that age and everything like that, and everything, because
Hmm.
it's only the 1930s. He's probably at minimum in his 60s, which means that
Right,
he was alive during the Civil War. And
right,
so
right.
he's probably a former slave child. And so
Exactly.
so he's lived a life of the after effects of the Civil War
Hmm.
and all of this now coming around to this point and everything like that. But going back to what you were talking about with the humming and just the nature of the singing and everything like that, I feel like that is, and it's not just relegated to the Black community, but the Black community has this because of the blues, and a lot of that, it's in a way, it's almost like a way of like an oral history in a way as well
Hmm.
too.
Oh,
um
exactly.
Song, especially through song, the is just this not just oral history, but like in terms of just like the generations passing through the song. And we're going to get
Hmm.
to it, we're going to get to it because this
Yeah,
plays a major
yeah.
thing in the movie itself. And so I love that aspect of it because it's even prevalent today. And
Hmm.
so uh but yeah, let's just get into it. Let's roll into that part of it because I think the centerpiece of this movie, and it's the thing that everybody talks about, it's the thing I talked about immediately after the movie, is the sequence when Sammy gets up on stage and he
Hmm.
starts singing and pierces the veil between time and space and
Yeah.
everything. And you get this great sequence of, and I'm getting goosebumps talking about it, this
I know,
great
right? Me too.
sequence. Every time I talk about it, it just yeah, it's so unbelievably good. You get this great sequence of him singing, and then you get people dancing and singing from the past, and then it moves forward and you get like the guy, like from like Parliament Funkadelic or something,
Uh-huh,
and then you
uh-huh.
get the rappers on stage, and you get the dancers out in the crowd and everything, and things are moving around, and just to number one, the incredible choreography and the amount of stuff they had to do to make that work is insane.
Oh yeah,
So
yes, and it
yeah,
did work, right? It
and
worked
it
so
did.
well.
Yeah. Oh, and it is like in the theater when watching that, it was transcendent for me.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Like, I can, like, like I've said it before and everybody knows I'm a white dude. But so for me to be transcendent, I can't imagine what it was like for a Black person to see that on screen and just feel
Oh,
that the past and the future and the present and everything just collide in this way that makes you just go, holy shit, everything is so connected, and just like, I don't know,
yes,
it
yes.
just blew me away. You go ahead
Yeah.
and
Oh,
give me your
uh,
feelings on that.
well, transcendent is a really good word, so I'm gonna borrow it. I mean, it was like so I grew up in church. It was like church, but like way better, right? Because it's like everybody gets to come. I am very in a lot of my work that I do on this academic side, I talk a lot about some Black experiences being very circular, right? So
Hmm.
these things are very interconnected. The past is the present, is the
Yeah.
future, is the past again. And this sequence like really, really cemented that for me. So you have like all these different throughways that were not just linking other aspects of Black culture and in different times, but also other cultures, right? So you
Yes.
have like the indigenous, the dancers, you had like the Asian dancers, and
Yeah.
it's showing how there's this link that we're not a community that is just on an island. Like our
Yes.
experiences
Yes.
are very much interconnected, and
Yes.
and so when we acknowledge that through something like music, I mean, it seems like a very basic thing, um but it becomes this whole other, almost like this whole other community, not even just the
Yeah.
human experience, because this seems to happen like on a spiritual level, and
Yeah.
spiritual not so much as religious but spiritual,
Yes,
and
exactly.
so there's just this interconnectedness that you can't deny. And it's like, look at this. This is the past, this is the present, this is the future, and this is the way that these experiences will continue to cycle through, because songs are stories, they are words. Even
Yeah.
the music is written, it's created. And so, we have these ways that the stories, and it's really important, I think, that you mentioned these oral traditions, oral storytelling traditions, because it's just now in academia where, a lot of times, past academics were trying to discount oral stories, and it's
Mm,
like, but how can you do that, because this is what they are. Like, this
yeah.
is how they were told, this is how they were repeated. It doesn't matter if you think that they don't have it doesn't have exactness, because it does. Whatever
Right.
it is relaying is what that experience was. And so
Right.
music is one of those oral forms that fits right into that.
Right.
That's always going to be a way to tell these stories. And so that is was really exciting to me, was to see my thoughts actually visualized on screen. And I'm like,
Yeah.
this is what I'm talking about in this cycle. In that article I wrote, that's what I was talking about. I could never have displayed it that beautifully, though, right? I can
Yeah.
only work with words. I could not work with the cinematography and the dancers and the music. So, I think every time I go to a conference to present, I'm just gonna and go, this is what I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah. Exactly. This is what I'm referencing. Just watch the scene, you'll
Yes,
get
this is what I'm talking about.
it. But I did think that was interesting too, because like they do, like in the movie you see the Asian dancers in there, and that's representative of the Chow's heritage as well. But
Hmm.
they have said that, and that's the reason why Remick wants Sammy, is because Sammy can connect to that and bring his predecessors, his Irish predecessors,
Hmm.
spirits to him as well. And so
Yes.
that plays into it. So when Sammy sings like that and can connect like that, then that brings it to anybody who is in the area like that, can then connect to their pasts and futures and stuff like that in a way that goes beyond just the norm. Um
Yeah, yeah.
and so um yeah, I just that sequence is just that the movie itself is great.
Hmm.
Just even before and after that, everything else. But that sequence itself is like the thing that everybody talks about, because it is just so good. And um, it's mind blowing. One, how they did it, and two, just that it conveys, like you said, it conveys exactly what you mean when you're talking about that specific concept. Um, and I love that, because I think that's stories. This is the problem that we have these days with a lot of stuff, is stories are how we connect, how we
Hmm.
um connect, not just to ourselves but to each other, how we connect to our pasts,
Hmm.
and how we continue to move forward. Because without these stories, then what is there? Like, life is so boring if we're
Right.
just all about like nothing and just like facts and figures and everything else like that. Yes, it's good to have all that stuff like that, but if you don't have the stories to entertain, or the music and everything else like that, those are the passions, the things that you need to like
Yes.
feel like, and to be human,
Right.
and to just really enjoy what it is to be a person and be alive. And without that kind of stuff, and that's what this movie's really talking about in a lot of ways too, is
Exactly.
the music is this passion, and that it's what's going on with Sammy. Like, because
Hmm.
Sammy's whole story is that he wants to play music. His father's really rigid
Hmm.
because he's a preacher, and he really wants him to be with the church and everything like that. But Sammy doesn't see spirituality in the word of God. He sees it in the music, and he feels it in a
Yes.
different way that some people just don't. I'm not a religious
Right.
person. I feel more like, with in terms of music and in movies and in the written
Right.
word and
Right.
everything like that. I feel like stories, are my spirituality and stuff. And
Hmm.
so um so I get Sammy's stuff completely, because he's just like, I don't, that's not who I am. I feel it on a different level. And I think that's important. That's an important thing in this movie, is just Sammy discovering his passion, and everything that happens that we're going to get into, that passion doesn't go away for him, even
Yeah,
though
no,
even though it easily could, given the events of the rest
absolutely.
of the night.
Yes, yes.
So
And that's the thing that I think that that I mean I as an artist, as a writer, you know, because like I mentioned, I grew up in the church, but I realized quickly that I spent a lot of time up on the altar being prayed over because the stuff I wanted to write was so creepy and dark, you know. And so
yeah,
I realized as you know, as I got older, got to be an adult, I was like, maybe this is not, you know, the place for me or where I need to be to express these ideas, right? So you know, I totally related with Sammy. I was like, I want to tell the stories that I have to tell. And I think that I can do that on a spiritual realm, right? On a spiritual level,
right.
to connect it in a different kind of way. Like, you know, it's not to so much as say to discard religion, but to
No,
actually
no,
take up a different religion. It is this is the
yeah,
spirituality. This is what it is, right?
right,
So that was really
absolutely.
important.
No, I agree. I think that, and I think that's the thing. If people want to be religious and that's what they want to do, 100%
Okay,
enjoy what
yeah.
you're doing. If that's what moves you in this life, absolutely enjoy it. Just as I would not force my passions onto you,
Hmm.
don't force your passion onto me.
Right. Right.
So,
We can
I'm
all
not
exist. We can
exactly,
all do our things.
exactly. Um, so that leads into Remick. Because after this
Hmm.
sequence, the juke joint's going, everything's going real well. Everybody's having a great time, but then Remick gets drawn to this building. And we
Hmm.
meet him a little bit earlier on, and you find out that he's a vampire, and that he is he's taken on this couple who have now joined him. Um, and they try to get into the juke joint, but they don't succeed. And then Mary goes out to go talk to them to find out, maybe they're not that bad, maybe they got some money
Hmm.
they're
Hmm.
willing to spend and everything. But unfortunately, she gets taken, and
Hmm.
because she has already been welcomed into the building, they easily welcome her back in, and that's when shit
Uh-huh.
goes bad.
Yes,
um
yes.
and I love it because once it happens fast. We've
Yes.
spent about I think it's about an hour to, like, for the movie's like, well, no, even more than that, maybe. At least half the movie's gone by getting it set up, getting them in, like,
Hmm.
it's like a third of, like, a third of each part of the movie. A third of the movie is set up, third of the movie is enjoying the party and everything like that, and then the
Hmm.
last third is just like really big, we're going vampires all out. um and this is where, like, I think he definitely takes the inspiration from Dusk Till Dawn, because that starts out as like a crime movie that transitions into a balls out vampire flick as well. um
Uh-huh.
so um so he's so when she gets in there, she ends up taking Stack, and killing him. um and then that just leads to everything going nuts, um in terms of the vampires trying to get in now. And I love when it transitions like that, because it's heartbreaking, um but it's also like so fast paced. There's so much going on.
Hmm. Hmm.
You have, and this is where Annie takes charge and is like, "Hey, I know what's going on. These are vampires. We need to, this is what we need to do to protect ourselves and get ready for this." And it just, I don't know. It's a fun, like, this is what's the funny thing about it. It's a fun sequence, but there's going to be a lot of heartbreak in this one, because Stack
Right.
has already been killed and turned into a vampire, and either they're going to end up having to kill each other, or one of them's going to have to die one way or the other or whatever.
Right.
um and so I love it because it is that heartbreaking, but also because it's that fun vampire flick that you've been kind of waiting for the whole time. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah. It's well, I mean, you can't have horror without the horror-y stuff.
yeah.
And so, you just know that it's not gonna be like this, rainbows, kitty unicorn type ending
Yeah,
with, glitter and stuff. Like that.
not a Lisa
But
Frank movie.
right, it is not. It is not. So I mean, I think that but I think that it's very telling of like this is what happens when you have various groups of people come together who have suffered from collective trauma, like
Yeah,
colonization. I mean, that's exactly what happened. Like these are different groups of people who had been who had their homelands colonized. And
yeah,
so this is actually sort of a group project at this point, because
yeah,
each of them is showing the effects of that, and showing how they're trying to rebel against it. I mean, and rebel against even things such as like forced Christianity, right?
right.
Which is Sammy is facing, but like Remick says, hey, this happened to my people already. Like we're all in
Yeah,
the exact same boat, so why don't we just hang out together on the vampire boat?
yeah, yeah. Well, and that's the interesting thing though too, is that Remick has a very compelling argument.
Oh, of
Um,
course. Yeah.
he's because the Irish were also very victimized,
Yeah.
not only in their homeland, but also here
Mm-hmm.
in America. But so they have this connective tissue. There's definitely a big connective tissue between the Black community, the Irish community, the Native American community, and the
Mm-hmm.
Chinese community that's all going throughout this whole movie. Um,
Yes.
and so you Remick plays into that in kind of a bad way.
Right, right.
Taking advantage of that like collective trauma
Mm-hmm.
to try to get them to his side. He's
Yeah,
like, look, it's only a
yeah,
moment of pain, but after that, we'll
I
be the ones
think
in power.
I think that he was really sincere. Like I think
Yeah,
he really thought that he was doing a good thing, which is kind of, in horror, I really love to have like these villains who are very murky, who are kind of gray, because he actually was offering a sort of freedom. And so I can see why it was very tempting, even though he, in his heart of hearts, knew that it was more like an imprisonment.
yeah,
Because like he couldn't see his ancestors because he was stuck on one side, of the spiritual
yeah,
realm, and they were on the other. But I really think that in his mind, once he found Sammy, he's like, well, hey, we can all be together again. And, we might even be able to go and kill some clans people because I don't like them either,
right,
So
yeah,
yeah, so he's offering freedom through monstrosity,
yeah.
which is a thing that I'm really intrigued by, that I love to play with, because I mean I really think he thought he was doing a good thing. He
Yeah.
was being very manipulative with it, but I think he thought, hey, I'm trying to help you,
Right.
while you
And I
help
do,
me.
yeah, yeah. And I do think it's interesting too, because you got to wonder though that like it seems like everybody that they took that night, nobody chose it.
Yeah,
Like, and that's the unfortunate part. I would have liked to have seen maybe one or two people just go, you know what, I agree with you. I'm gonna go with you and see how this plays out, because this might be interesting. Um,
yeah, that would have been
yeah,
intriguing. I mean, because I remember that Stack. I mean, after he was changed, he was like, "Hey, listen, this is really cool. This is really the thing that we should do."
yeah.
And I wonder if though that wasn't yet another nod to like forced assimilation or forced joining.
Ooh, yeah,
So yeah, I mean, just like how the Irish were being forced to take on these Catholic
yeah,
reigns, and Sammy's father was trying to force him to take on the mantle of Christianity, that they were forced to take on that mantle of vampirism.
right.
So I
Well,
wonder, I wonder.
yeah, and you also kind of got to wonder if it was like once he became a vampire and he was trying to get them over to the side, if there was not a little Uncle Tom stuff narrative going on in there too, like maybe just a little bit. Like I
Oh
didn't think of it
yeah.
that way until just now when you
Oh,
said that.
yeah,
Um,
definitely.
but that's what
Definitely. Once you
yeah,
have, yeah, once you have Stack, I mean, what you there's always going to be that the one, right? Like the
yeah,
one person from the community who says, "Hey, this is not all bad. We could all
yeah,
just do this thing." And the rest of the community is kind of looking at them and going, "No, but this is not good. We shouldn't
yeah.
do that." And he's like, "Yeah, this is one of the good ones. Come on, let's do this." And
So
so I think that that is
yeah.
absolutely correct.
Well, and it reminds me a lot of, and unfortunately, I hate getting political, like too much on the show and everything like that. But it
Yeah,
reminds me a
yeah.
lot of the black people who have like gone over to support Trump and stuff
Yeah.
like that, where you're just like, people, you
Yes.
have to know this is not for your own good. You have to know that they are not for you. They're saying
You
what you want to hear
do.
right now, but they're not going to be for you at the end. And so I feel like that's kind of what the
Exactly.
vampires were like doing. It's like, look, we could be a powerful force against all this, but you're going to still be under me, so it doesn't matter. So,
Right, right. Well, yeah, well, it's like, well, it's enslavement under a different master, right?
yes,
I mean,
yes,
so like it doesn't matter. Slavery is slavery. It doesn't matter who holds the keys to the
right.
bonds, right?
Absolutely.
That's so yeah, that is completely what was happening there. I mean, because
Yeah.
regardless of how he was all kumbaya about it, like the
Yeah.
reality is Remick would have been the head of
Yeah.
this new community, and
Well,
the optics of that, like what does
yeah.
that actually play out to be? Like, are we really an equal community? Like, I don't know, but
And that,
he did offer more freedom than the people would than they would have had anyway. But I'm curious to know exactly how
yeah.
far that freedom would have gone.
Well, and it's interesting though too because Remick was the one who changed them all, or at least was the one to change the ones from in the beginning, and then it kind of spread out from there. And
Uh-huh.
Remick was definitely a different vampire. He was older. His
Right.
eyes would turn like he would have the red gleam, whereas theirs would all have the
Mm-hmm.
white gleam. So he was
Uh-huh.
definitely on another level, and it was always something where he always seemed to be in control, where
Right.
the other ones did have their own voices, but there were times where they
Mm-hmm.
repeated the things he said. And so
Right.
there was always that notion that sure, they were free of, they were powerful and everything like that, but Remick probably was still in control of them no matter what. They
Right.
still,
Yeah.
like you said, they
Ultimately.
still had a
Yeah.
master.
Mm-hmm.
And so and it's like, and we'll get into it in a little bit, but it's like when Remick is killed at the end, um then there's freedom because
Right.
now they have no master, they have no true master.
Right.
um most of the rest of the vampires die.
Mm-hmm.
But if they had survived, would that mean they were free? Would that mean that they had no master? What does that mean for them continuing on in the future as well?
Mm-hmm.
And so, and we get a little bit of that. So um but just getting into the sequence, I think it's interesting too because um they they managed to drive Mrs. Chow insane enough
Yeah.
to tell them to come in.
Mm-hmm.
And once they're invited in, we get the big battle there at the end. um
Yeah.
and which is just chaotic as all get out.
Oh my
um
gosh, yeah, she gets a lot of flack as a character, but I felt that. I mean, I could,
yeah,
because for the one thing, you won't have a horror movie if the two never meet, right?
yeah,
So like
yeah,
something had to happen to
yeah.
facilitate that. I mean, somebody had to do it, so Grace must have
Well,
pulled the short straw. Uh,
yeah. And her husband had been taken. She was fearing for her daughter's life.
yes,
I mean, it made sense why she was just going to be the one.
right.
And they
It
were
did
messing
make
with her
sense.
head too. So it made
Yeah.
sense.
Oh,
Somebody was going to
it
end up
totally
doing it.
made
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. And so I
Yes.
don't like
Yeah. Oh
feel like
yeah.
she's a
And
bad person for having done that. Like, yeah, sure, it sucks,
yeah.
but
Oh, I
like,
don't either.
yeah, yeah. So it's just, yeah,
Somebody had to
it's
do it, and she did
right.
it. She was the
Yeah.
one.
So, um, I do. I felt that. I felt the pain when Annie ends up getting bitten, and Smoke has to kill
Yeah.
her. That just
Yeah.
broke my heart. But it leads into something later. But she does say, before that, she makes him promise that he'll kill her. That if she gets turned, and then
Oh yeah.
so
Well,
that way
she
she
saw.
can,
Yeah, she
yeah,
saw what was happening.
yeah,
Yeah, she
and
saw that coming. I mean,
and
she had that gift of foresight.
yeah, and be more connected to the spiritual like she was. She understood what that was, going to
Hmm.
potentially mean for her. And so, she said,
Exactly.
somebody's already waiting for me on the other side. So, and
Hmm.
so
So sweet.
it's,
Yeah.
it's, oh man, this movie's so heartbreaking in so many ways. Um, but, yeah, there's just the jumping ahead, you get the battle between the brothers, which you don't get a payoff at first, except for you just see
Uh-huh.
that Smoke ends up coming out of the building at the end. So
Hmm.
and to help Sammy uh defeat Remick there. There's this
Yeah.
great sequence between Remick and Sammy where Remick is really trying has the drop on Sammy bad. Um
Yes.
and is trying to like just does the whole villain monologue, of course,
Right,
just
right,
is great.
right.
But Jack O'Connell, he's a great actor. He like
Yes.
between this and his performance in the 28 years later
Hmm. Hmm.
movies, he's had a great run the last couple of years
Yeah.
in these movies.
Yes.
um so but he I don't know. Remick is just crazy. He's good. I love that that they managed to take him out. And I know I'm glossing over a bunch, but I really want to get to the end. Um, and so you get to the end. And I love the bit where uh Smoke ends up taking out all the
Oh my
clan members that
gosh.
come to kill them. That was such a great moment.
That was epic. I mean, I
Yeah.
think that was like a total payoff.
Yeah.
Because I mean, and we it seemed like the inevitability, right? He lost his
Yeah.
brother, he lost Annie. And so he literally had nothing else to lose,
Yeah.
right? So it's like, hey, I'm ready to do this now.
Yeah.
So it made perfect sense. I thought that one excellent bit of characterization was where he was trying to roll the cigarette, and he was because of his PTSD, he wasn't able to do it. And it's like I felt
Yeah.
the loss of his brother even very strongly then, because he always rolled his cigarettes for him. And
Yeah.
so it's like, oh, this is terrible, this poor guy, but he was ready. He was ready.
Yeah. No, yeah, I really enjoyed that last part of it because like you said, he had lost his brother, he'd lost his love, and so he had nothing left to lose at that point, and so he was going to take these guys down, and I think he kind of knew he was going to be taken out.
Yeah.
um I just and those guys had no clue who they were like tangling with, somebody with military weapons and
Right,
military skill.
right,
These guys are just good old boys from the South that don't know crap.
right.
And so yeah, so it's a great sequence. Is after everything else that's going on, you get this little comeuppance for the clan guys, and everything on top of it is like a cherry on top of everything
It
else.
really was. It really was. And I think that Smoke was really hoping
Yeah,
that they would take him
yeah,
out. I think that he kind of got some of Annie's that foresight, and was like, listen, if this
yeah,
is how I'm gonna go, I'm just gonna go out this way.
yeah.
And
Yeah, but he
that
was
was
just like,
kind of
I'm gonna
cool.
take out as many as I can with me as
Exactly.
when I go. So, but yeah, and there's that great moment where he's like, there that spiritualness is happening. He's connecting with Annie and the baby like there at the end, and just as he's obviously dying, um,
Hmm.
and it's just a great not a great ending, but like there's
Yeah,
just
no,
like
yeah.
it's great in the terms that he got to go out how he wanted to in a way, and that he
Yep.
got to be reunited with Annie and the baby. You know, if you believe in such things, then
Right.
it's
Yeah.
just, and he did. So, um, and then we get the credits come up, but we get probably like next to the pretty much everything in the movie, but like next to the musical sequence in the movie, this is probably one of my favorite parts of the movie, is this
Uh-huh.
end part,
Yes. Yes.
where you see Sammy in 1992. He's older now. He's got his bar named Pearline after the woman he was in love with there at
Right.
that night. And so he's got the show's over, and he's got a couple people who want to come in and talk to him. They're willing to pay money to do it. Um, and in walks Stack and Mary,
Uh-huh.
and still young as ever.
Right.
Um, and in that 90s fashion that we
Right.
all
Super
remember.
fly. Yes, they were super fly. Oh, they were so fly.
Oh my God. Um, but it just was like, oh my God, this is like, I love that we had this kind of like um uh epilogue to it, of just being able to see, number one, Sammy got to live his life how he
Yes.
wanted to.
Hmm.
And played by Buddy Guy, which was great. Like, too, like, if
That was
anybody
really
knows,
great casting.
like,
Uh-huh.
yeah, like anybody knows, Buddy Guy is a blues legend.
Yep.
And so, it's just that was great. And I don't profess to know much of the blues. Don't get me wrong. I don't know much of the blues. I know a few guys here and there
Right,
and
right.
everything. And I do want, when I have listened to the blues, I've really enjoyed it. Um,
Yes.
it's just, it is a fascinating musical genre. Um, I think I like that more than like something like jazz, like in terms of like,
Yeah.
that kind of like black styles of music and stuff like that, those and
Hmm.
everything like that. Blues has always been, like, I think, the more attractive for me. Um
Yeah. Oh yeah,
uh,
same. Yeah,
yeah.
it's very earthy. And
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
soulful in a way that that a lot of other, musical genres just aren't.
Yeah. And the
That's the
guitar
way it
work, man.
goes. Yeah.
Man. And the guitar work by like people like Buddy Guy, BB King, those
Hmm.
guys are just brilliant on the guitar. They're just on another level. I'm a huge Prince fan. And
Yes,
so Prince
same.
would pull, yeah, Prince would pull, like, not a lot, but he would pull a little bit from, the blues here
Uh-huh.
and there. You would hear it in some of his music. Um, but so anyway, but but I just love that they pulled him in for this.
Hmm.
And then you just get the sequence of, he got to live this long life and everything like that. And you get to find out that, one, that Stack and Mary lived, and that they promised Smoke that they would leave him alone, and let
Hmm.
him live his life. But Stack leans over, smells him, and is like, "You ain't got much longer to go, though."
Right.
Um,
Oh my God. Yeah, it was funny, but it was so
yeah,
creepy. Like, oh
yeah,
no, he's dying. Oh no.
yeah. And then he
Yeah.
was like, "But I could give you more time, and but Sammy was like, "Look, I had a good run. Like, I lived my life. I want to see what's next."
Hmm.
And so,
Oh yeah,
um,
it was
yeah,
a really great ending.
yeah,
I mean, because we saw this Stack got what he wanted. Like that was
yeah,
literally his happily ever after, to be with Mary.
yeah,
They
yeah,
were able to do that. They were free, and I mean, they
yeah,
were able to have fun together. It's not like either
yeah.
one of them was lonely in this whole,
Right.
eternal life, which you kind of
Yeah.
worry about. If you ever turn to a
Yeah.
vampire, like, it can be so lonely, I would think. But if there's two of you, it's fine.
Well, and hopefully that's a person you can stand being with for,
Exactly.
that many years, so,
Right, right,
obviously they still are doing well.
right.
Um, and there's the what is it? He has, like, Sammy mentions that everything else considered, that was still the best day he'd ever had.
Hmm.
Up until everything went nuts.
Right.
And Stack said the same. It was the last time he saw the sun. It was the last time he was with his brother. And
Hmm.
so for him, that was like a moment that really um was something that he held precious as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I thought that was interesting too, because I mean, we don't learn a lot about what Stack and Mary have been up to. I think it would
Right.
be kind of cool if he did do a movie with them. It'd be kind of fascinating to see them throughout the decades after that.
Hmm.
I don't think there will ever be, because I think it waters it down
Yeah,
a
I
little
think
too
so.
much. But
Hmm.
it would be really cool though, also. But it just it felt to me in a way that they were different than what Rimmick was. Rimmick had this,
Oh
and
yeah.
Rimmick was older. From what
Right.
you could glean from the what he told you and everything like that, he was
Hmm.
anywhere between 600 to 1300 years old.
Yeah,
So
he was ancient. Yeah, he
yeah,
was
he was
super super
very
old.
old.
Yeah.
And so whereas Stack and Mary, they hadn't been around that long yet. Maybe they'll get to that point where there's like kind of weird as he was or whatever like that.
Right.
But I feel like in a way, one, like you said, because he has Mary with him and everything like that, that may have changed things. And two, that they lived in a different time as well.
Yes.
The
Yes.
20th century, like it's really weird when you really go back and look at history as a whole.
Hmm.
Um, Hundreds of years were very much the same. Like you
Right.
could not, like, don't get me wrong, there were definitely things that were different in each time period, but there were definitely, for the common man, things were
Uh-huh.
not different.
Right.
Um, for the 20th century and onwards, we've had big changes. In
So many
terms,
big
yeah,
changes.
in terms of just how we've come so far in terms of where we're at technology and everything else.
Hmm.
So I think that that can change your perspective for sure.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when we even think about things like civil rights and
Yeah,
legislation, like there have been very huge things that have happened in the past, 100 or so years, maybe. So yeah, I would think that that would change their perspective a lot,
absolutely.
especially with them being young vampires at that point. It's like
Yeah,
kind of the beginning of the rest of their life.
absolutely. No, I agree. So I think that leads that's what I think is kind of fascinating with the end there. You get this epilogue of what Sammy's life was like, just this little bit. And I think that's what's really kind of cool about it too, is that you don't have to learn a lot. You just learn a little bit, but
Hmm.
it's enough to kind of
It's
get you
enough.
you feel good that Sammy lived his life and accomplished what he wanted to accomplish. He lived a life full
Hmm.
of music and happiness. Um and that, Stack and Mary survived at least to that point, and that maybe things are different for them. They seem to be happy with each other, and so
Yeah,
that
they did.
that's an important piece for them, that they got to live happily together. um
Right.
you know and so um yeah, it just there's so much going on to this movie. It's and that's what I think makes it so good, because it's not just one thing, it's so many things together, and it just gels so well. Like there's some movies that I watch, and that on a second watch, maybe things drag here and there a little bit more
Hmm.
than you
Hmm.
notice the first time. But this movie didn't do that. This movie just still felt like so good, and
Yep.
um so cohesive. And that just goes into a lot of the stuff that Ryan Coogler as a writer and a director is so good at.
Hmm.
I did want to mention a couple of real quick things. The music in this by Ludwig Göransson is
Uh-huh.
fantastic. He is so good at
Yes.
music. He just
Yes.
also nominated, and so
Yes.
he just fantastic, so
Beautiful.
good music. And just like, and they actually really worked with blues and other black artists to really craft the music. So it wasn't, because Ludwig Göransson is definitely a white guy, and so he
Right,
really
right.
wanted to get that. And he's done this before. He's worked with Kugler from the beginning. They've worked together.
Hmm.
They I think they went to college together, and he worked on
Oh,
his short
nice.
films and has worked on every film of his since.
Oh,
Um,
very nice. They're
and
a
so
winning team. That's
they
good.
are. They are
Yeah.
absolutely. Keep that together. The cinematographer on this was a woman.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
she's done. Uh, what is it? She's done work on other movies and stuff like that, but she's worked. She was the first woman to work with this film stock that they used for this. What is it? The
Oh, very nice.
Ultra Panavision 70 cameras.
Yeah,
Um,
uh-huh,
she
uh-huh.
yeah, she became the first female director of photography to shoot any movie on large format IMAX film.
Oh,
So
very nice.
yeah, and again nominated for an award for that.
Yes, yes.
Because it was like you watched this movie. I don't remember if I saw it in IMAX or not, but it is very big. It is like the
Yeah.
even though a lot of it is interior, it still
Hmm.
feels big. And especially when
Yeah.
you go into that musical sequence, it is just so full of life and everything that is just amazing.
Yeah,
It's
I
very
missed it
cool.
in IMAX. Like I was very
Yeah.
disappointed. Like we were in Dallas, my husband and I, the weekend that it opened, and I
Oh
had
wow.
no idea that the nearest IMAX theater to us that was showing it was in Dallas. So once we got back home,
Oh
like
no.
4 hours away, I was like, oh no, we should have like tried harder to see it that weekend while we were closer. But yeah.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to look it up on my my AMC now because like if it'll tell me if it was in IMAX or not. Let's see. Yeah, it doesn't say, and I'm not sure. I'd have to go look at the theater to know for certain, but it might have been. I don't know. I have A list, so it doesn't cost me any extra to go see things in IMAX, which is nice.
Oh
Um,
yeah, nice. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Oh, I definitely did not see it in IMAX, but it still felt larger than life,
Oh yeah.
right? But if I ever get the opportunity, I absolutely will.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing I want to say about this too is that watching in the theater was fantastic, but also
Hmm.
watching on TV. I don't own it yet, but I was able to watch it on HBO,
Uh-huh.
on HBO Max, and it was fantastic on there as
Yeah,
well. Like
exactly. It's great at home too.
to be fair, I have a nice 55-inch TV, so
Right,
it's
right.
and I have a a decent surround sound system, so it wasn't
Right. Yeah,
too bad.
exactly. Yeah. My
So
husband has all those gadgets for us here too.
yeah,
I can lay no claim to that. I just benefit
it's
from it. So
it's always us
yeah.
guys. Us guys are always the tech heads, where it's like
Exactly.
we need the really good surround sound.
Yes,
So
all the things.
but yeah, no, it's a fantastic movie, and if anybody hasn't seen this movie yet, you really need to see it. Because I think that it is just so good of a movie. You're missing out for sure. And and if you've seen the movie, you know, come tell us, tell us what you thought of it, and if you liked it. If you didn't like it, don't tell me. I don't want to hear about it.
Right. We don't really want to talk about
No, I don't want to talk about
that.
that. But is there anything else that we didn't mention about the movie that you wanted to specifically mention before we wrap up?
uh Yeah, well, one thing that really stood out to me was how Annie and Smoke's relationship, like it was really important
Mm,
that through the movie she was the only one that called him by his like government name.
yeah, yeah,
And so that almost kind of separated those two personas. And I thought that was really, really sweet because I mean, if you're connected to like your soulmate or your twin flame, whatever you call it, like they would
yeah,
know you so intimately that they would know that that smoke person was a whole different persona. And
yeah,
so when she says she doesn't want any of that smoke to get on the baby, she's literally saying, I don't want any of that persona, like not just the cigarette smoke, but none of the smoke
yeah,
persona, like come to us as Elijah, and then we'll be this happy, family in the spiritual realm. And I mean, it was just really so beautiful. The
yeah.
love stories in this movie were handled so wonderfully.
They were.
So I think that they added a lot of depth to the story itself. So I was really, really, really pleased to see that.
Yeah, no, absolutely agree. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much for joining me. I very much had a great time having you on for this episode.
Oh, thank you for having me. Like, I think we have to be besties now. I hope we get a chance to talk
Right?
again some other time. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're cool.
absolutely. Thank you. Well, I definitely have you back on again. That would be awesome. So,
Yeah. All right.
um,
Just let me know. I'll be ready.
Yeah. All right. Well, why don't you let people know where they can follow you online?
So I'm on most of the social platforms at R Jackson Joseph. I lurk a lot and I repost a lot, but I'm there. I promise I'm there. I'm in those places, all the places.
No, I hear you. I've gotten to a point where I just kind of like pulled way back from social media and I'm just kind of like,
Yeah, yeah.
watching TV, reading, doing my own thing a lot more.
Hmm,
Um,
hmm.
and trying to do that. So I totally get the whole lurking thing because I will do that. I'll lurk and I'll,
Yeah.
just kind of, look at whatever's going on and stuff
Hmm.
without really posting much these days. So,
Yeah,
um,
exactly.
although,
I also have
although,
a website.
yeah,
Yeah,
go
I have
ahead.
a website that I haven't had it for a really long time. That's why I always forget. But it's RhondaJacksonJoseph.com. So yeah, I always throw out the socials because I'm like, I'm there, but the website, that's a thing too, right? It's a thing.
Yeah. And you're an author who writes books and stuff like that. So it'd definitely be,
Hmm.
good. And the website's great for being able to for people to find your books and stuff. So,
Yeah, exactly.
all right. Well, again, thank you so much for coming on, and definitely get you on again sometime in the future. I will, you know, reach out to you again uh, when I've got
Okay.
something coming up.
Yep, sounds good. So nice to meet you, Robert. Thanks for having
Nice to
me.
meet you too. Thank you. Thanks for listening. Creepy and Geeky is produced and hosted by Robert Clark. If you like what you've heard, please consider giving the show 5 stars and a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And share the podcast on social media to help spread the word. Make sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast app or at creepyandgeeky.com. You can follow the podcast by going to creepyandgeeky.com and clicking on any of the social links. If you'd like to follow me, you can find my links at geekthulu.com. You can support the podcast by ordering teas and more on Teepublic or by donating to the coffee page. All of the links are in the show notes. Finally, don't forget, stay creepy.